Hello, hello, hi, you guys. What is happening? What is happening? What is happening? I see people tuning in. I am super excited about this. Like, I'm extremely excited. Oh, the fact that you guys are here and committed to showing up, it means that you either have a business or you're looking to start a business or you're an immigrant or you're just intrigued. You're curious. You like want to know um, what I will be talking about. So, see, like, where are you guys tuning in from? I really want to know. Drop them in the comments. I want to know, where are you guys tuning in from? Talk to me. I see people here on you from YouTube, people here on Facebook as well. So let me know where you guys tuning in from, because I would love to know. I'm tuning in from Florida. Oh, hey, Edgar, what's up? What's up? What's up? Thanks for tuning in. Man, I haven't done a YouTube live in a really, really long time. Romari is tuning in from Florida too. And I think Edgar is in Georgia. So that is amazing. Man, I've been wanting to do something like this for a really long time, but I couldn't figure out like how I would structure the conversation as well. And I always thought that I need to find the perfect time to do it. And I was like, you know what? I keep having these one-on-one conversations with people who they're looking to start a business or they're even looking to get into real estate. But honestly, they have so many questions like I did when I just started. And I think we're in a space where there's so much information out there. Would you guys agree with that? There's like information everywhere. There's ChatGPT, there's YouTube, there's Mastermind, there is everything. So sometimes I think that we can get so overwhelmed by all the info as well that is out there. So I hope that whatever I'm going to share with you guys tonight, that you'll find valuable. Don't feel scared to ask questions as well. I love an interactive session. Like, I'm not here to teach you. Okay, so I'm not here to teach. I'm literally just here to share my knowledge, share the things that I know, the things that I've been through as well. And hopefully it can help you. It can help somebody that you know. You can also provide a resource to someone else based on the information that I share. So tonight we're talking about starting a business as an immigrant, what survival has taught me and what I'll do differently. So I'll be talking about stuff like credit, my perspective with credit, my perspective when it comes on to investing, business setup, entity structure, banking, tools that I use now, tools that I used to use before in my business as well. So from all of that, you guys, like, tell me, like, what are you most excited to hear me talk about? Like, there has to be one reason for you guys to show up. So I want to know, what's that one thing? I know you want to see my beautiful face. Of course, I would love to see your beautiful faces as well. So drop those in the comments. I want to know, what's that one thing like you are super eager to hear me talk about, because I think for me, I'm very excited about the mindset thing. That was crucial for me to where I am right now as well. But the first thing I want to touch on is mindset, or actually, before I go to mindset, my story, right? So some of you may know my story, some of you may not. When I moved to the US about 8, 9 years ago, I gave up my perfect corporate job. Okay. I had the best job out of college, anyone would say, doing what I studied for my degree. Hey, Aaron. Shout out to Aaron, who's from my team, who's here. But I gave up the perfect corporate job. I was paid well, but for me, I honestly, um, I just lost my passion for marketing, and I was surrounded by people who all they were doing is just complaining, complaining, and not doing anything about it. And for me, I was like, I don't want to be stuck here 5, 10 years from now complaining when I know I can do something about it. So I moved to the States, gave up everything. When I tell you, I gave up everything. And that was such a big step for me to do that. And when I did that, did I come to the US with a plan of what type of job I'm going to go do? No, I did not. I just, I was like, God, this is going to be me and you, okay? Me and you on this new journey that I'm taking on. And I came here and I started working in the restaurant space, right? So I was working 80 plus hours a week. Now, imagine me give up my perfect corporate job to go work in a restaurant to say hello to people, seat people, clean tables, like cleaning tables. Like, come on. I was so ashamed or scared rather yet to tell people what is it that I'm doing because I felt like I would be judged for doing that. And I did that for, I would say, 2, 3 years, just doing that until I was like, you know what, Kalisha, you need to figure out what you want to do with your life because you can't keep doing this. Like, yes, I was making really good money. I was making good money. So let me give you a backstory. So imagine as an immigrant, and I'm from Jamaica, right? So earning when I just got out of college, I was making about 150K a month. That back then was really good. So that maybe work out to, let's say, how much USD that is. So that's 150,000, about like 950 bucks US a month, right? And imagine I came here to the US and making that in a week. I was like, oh wow. Oh wow, this is a lot of money. So that was a culture shock for me. And then I started making more money and more money. And I was like, okay, I want to keep doing this. But that was just a little bit of context with that, right? What happened in the job that I was at, I was living on Martha's Vineyard and I was surrounded by a lot of wealthy people. Like, be the hostess where you're the first person who you greet somebody, hey, welcome to this restaurant. And people make conversation. And a lot of persons I would ask, like, what do you do? All those things. And people would tell me that they're in real estate. And I was like, oh, wow, you're in real estate. What do you do? This was all new to me. And I'm only familiar with real estate through HGTV. That is it. HGTV is all I know about real estate, nothing else. I don't have a family member, I don't have a friend, nobody who is doing real estate. And from there, I literally started doing research on real estate. Guys, you know what I did? I simply went on Google and typed in how to invest in real estate. And a lot of times we want to do that thing, but we are so scared because we're like, oh, we don't have help to do this, or we don't have this type of resource to do this, or we don't have this money to do this. But if you simply just put in Google, that's like the first step of your research. And that's how I started doing my research. I took the initiative to do that research for myself, right? And I went into a rabbit hole because I realized that I needed to educate myself. This part that I'm interested in doing, I don't have anyone that I could ask questions, right? So Google was going to be my best friend. So I would recommend whatever it is that you want to do, don't make because of your background. I mean, some things are going to happen because I'm going to share some things that I went through, but you are going to doubt yourself. You are going to think that you don't have anyone on your team, any family member, friend who you can ask for advice. But the information is there, right? And it can be a lot and it can be overwhelming, but you have to start somewhere, because from you starting there, you will now figure out other questions that you can ask somebody, or you might be reading and you're like, oh, let me go ask this question, or let me go research this question, right? So from there, I experienced, all right, culture shock one, right? Again, working in the restaurant industry back home, that's something that was frowned upon. And I was afraid to do that because I got my bachelor's degree. What am I doing here in a restaurant? Like, I always fell on top of the world, but I came here, I gotta like come down a notch, okay? Um, and then from there, in me learning about real estate, I was also very afraid to tell people what I was thinking of doing. Why? Because I thought people were like, what are you trying to do that? You're from Jamaica. There's no way that you can do that, right? So I didn't want people to put their fears on me. So that also prevented me from getting access to even more opportunities because I didn't open my mouth to tell people what is it I was doing. When I started doing that, it was after I bought my first property. Am I making sense, you guys? Like, drop that in the chat if I'm making sense. And thank you for everyone who is still joining. A lot of you are tuning in from YouTube because I don't want to keep just ranting. So yeah, you guys are giving me thumbs up. I love it. Okay, perfect. All right, love it. Romario said that he's super excited about how to overcome procrastination. Man, let me tell you this. I don't know if there is a way. I'm not an expert, okay, but it's gonna happen. And I'll tell you how I kind of overcame some of those things too. So one of my biggest takeaway when I decided that I want to do real estate or I just want to do a business in general here in the US, I realized that I'm going to have to make some sacrifices, right? One of those sacrifices was sleep, right? I was working 80 plus hours a week, but I was doing like side gigs on Fiverr doing resumes. And so I would leave work 12:01 a.m. I'd go home, do some side gigs, right? On Fiverr, do some resume. And then after that, I would actually go in and like maybe listen to a real estate podcast because upon doing my research, right, that is how I discovered different real estate podcasts, platforms, and stuff like that of how I could get into real estate. And I just started educating myself. A reminder, I'm doing this thing alone. So whatever it is that you want to do, you are doing it solo. If you think that you don't have anyone that you can always ask questions, the internet is going to be your best friend until you find your people. Even if you can't afford a coach or a mastermind or a course, a program, anything like that, the internet and YouTube University is going to be your friend to educate yourself on what is it that you want to do. That's going to be the main thing. There's no excuse. You have to know deep down within yourself that, okay, I came here or this is my background. And you know what, whatever it is that I've been doing, I want to be done with it. And I want to make better for myself. I want to set up myself for a better future. All those things. You just got to commit to doing it. And if you have to be quiet, right, just for a little bit while you work and educate yourself, do that. Keep your head down, work, make your money, save, invest in your education, read books, listen to podcasts, educate yourself. Guys, I took like a year to 2 years just educating myself on real estate before I joined any mastermind programs. Because my background, you hear about mastermind programs, that is a scam. A scam. You want my money? No, you're not taking it, right? Again, mindset. Until I started being around people who have businesses, whether that's real estate, whatever it is. And a lot of them would tell me that they invested in their education as well. So you are going to have to do that where YouTube University, I'm telling you, it's going to be your best friend. So I educated myself, podcasts, books as well. And after this, I'm going to share a few books that I would recommend, which I'll actually share it right now. One book that I read, because again, my background, I did a lot of business courses in college or university. And there's this book I read, it's called E-Myth Revisited by Michael Gerber. When I tell you that book changed my perspective, how I view business, it also gave me clarity on how I can structure my business, how I should be thinking if I want to start this business, right? And they're I think you can get this book on Amazon. I think I have the PDF version that I can share as well. I'll drop it below in this video. But Michael Gerber book shows you like the different roles you play as an entrepreneur, which you wear multiple hats when you are starting as an entrepreneur as well. And that is okay, that you're going to do everything. A full disclosure, I really do not have an outline. Like, I do have an outline, but like, I'm just sharing you with things that come to my mind based on my outline. So I was hoping to go by an outline, but I just can't. So I'll be a little bit all over the place. So if you guys have questions, just drop them below. Okay. So Michael Gerber, E-Myth Revisited, that was a really, really, really good book. I think I've read that maybe 3 times. The first time it was completely new to me. I was like, all right, information goes in. I'm not at that stage. I'm not ready for it yet. But guess what? When I started growing and when I started doing the thing, right? When I started taking action, I was like, you know what? I remember reading this book and it mentioned XYZ. Let me go back to this book. Another thing too, so upon my research in how to start investing, right, I realized that I need to figure out, I was running into issues with finances. Why? Because at that time, I was not, my immigration status was not so, it wasn't so we'll call it like, I couldn't load up the team, right? I couldn't like put it out there like, this is me, this is what I'm doing, because you have to be under the radar while you're going through your process. And I know a lot of us too, or people that I have reached out to me, is going through the same thing. And they're like, wait, well, how did you start that business? How did you do that thing? Going back, guess what? Remember I told you I educated myself. I started listening to podcasts and books, and upon me listening to other people's story, right, I was like, listen, there is no way on earth I am the only immigrant who is in the US trying to start a business. I cannot be the only one, and I know I'm not going to be the last. There has to be somebody like me who has gone through this, right? Lo and behold, I was listening to a podcast and someone's situation was way worse than I had it. Okay. Extremely worse. And then they figured it out. And I was like, oh my God, their situation is way worse than mine. And they figured it out. Here's the thing, guys. At that time, that person did not have a social security number. They only had their passport from Mexico, and they had money in their name. That's it. They didn't have a driver's license. They didn't have a social security number. And I was like, God damn, I have way more stuff than he did. And what they did was to partner with a family member. I think it was an uncle. He created an LLC, right? He created an LLC, and his name went on the LLC. His uncle name also went on the LLC. And he was able to buy his first investment property through the LLC. And I was like, bingo, that's exactly what I need to do. Because I could not figure out how I would get a loan, because every lender that I was talking to kept saying, no, 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 you can't get a loan because you are not a US citizen, right? So going back, and I'm going to keep saying this, I only figured this out because I knew that I wanted to get in real estate. I start taking the steps needed. I realized I'm going to need funding. Okay, fine. I started connecting with people on the internet, okay, on the internet, and asking people for references for lenders, and person would give me their references. I would call, I would tell them what my situation was. And then that's how I would even learn more about the financing aspect of it, how to structure paperwork, because people are willing to share knowledge and people are willing to help you. Don't forget that. Whatever it is that you're doing and you start doing your research, people are really willing to help you to get to whatever goal that you're trying to get to. All right. So in doing that, I figured out the LLC portion of it. Bingo. That is good. I can figure it out. The next thing was to go and make sure I go and find a property, but I won't go much into details for the property. That's how I got a workaround for the business structure to start that first investment, to make sure I was able to get a loan. Another factor that played a role in me getting a loan was credit score. Now, credit score is not a thing back home. Credit history, I think now I hear people talking about that, where it's a thing now. But I came here And I keep hearing about credit. I was like, what credit? How do you build credit? What is this thing? They want you to get debt. I was told that debt is bad. What do you want me to get debt? I need to go take on debt to build a credit score, and I need a credit score in order to get a loan. That was very confusing to me. Okay, I'm like, this is a whole cycle here in the US. What do you mean I need to go take on debt? I was taught to stay away from debt. Guys, guess where I went to understand this whole credit score thing? Just take a wild guess where I went. If you guys are able to drop that in the chat, whether you're tuning in on Facebook or YouTube, just take a wild guess where I went to understand this thing about credit. Don't be shy. Like, do not be shy. Yes, I went to YouTube. I went to the internet. That's where I went. I literally put it in Google, right? Aaron said Columbia House Musical. I love that. Okay. I went to YouTube and I just put in how credit score work or how to build credit, right? And in me putting on YouTube, I was listening and watching videos. And again, remember, all these people putting stuff on YouTube. I don't know if what they're telling me is true or they're just giving me like fluff. I have no clue. But guess what? I sat down and I listened to it and I put two and two together. I took out sense out of nonsense. It was very overwhelming, especially about due date, statement date, and all that stuff. But guess what I did? Upon watching the videos, I always have a notebook where I'm making notes, right? Because they say what you write, you invite, right? So I was taking notes about, because I'm doing research, I'm taking notes and stuff like that. And then I put it back on Google. And a lot of you might be familiar with it now. NerdWallet had an article about how to build credit score, all those things. And with me going on NerdWallet, that is how I completely understood how to build credit, how the due date, the statement date works, where to get my credit score, which credit cards they recommended. Because remember, I told you I'm talking to lenders trying to get a loan, and they're telling me I need to have a certain credit score. So I went on NerdWallet and YouTube to figure out how can I build my credit to get to that target. Going back, research. A lot of us want to do things and we tend to use our status or our background, right, as an excuse to not take action. And I'm very grateful that I was not that person. Sometimes I think I'm just too ambitious. So at the end of the day, you cannot use, I don't have access to the information, because it is out there for free. So that's how I build credit. So without overwhelming you guys, like research NerdWallet. I'm not affiliated with them at all, but it was a very good resource for me. I still use it up to this day when trying to figure out which credit card to get, reading articles of how to invest, savings, and all those good stuff. It was NerdWallet and YouTube. And would I say having a good credit is important? I don't know. I have mixed feelings about that. Here's why. I started being more around really successful people, and people are doing good, okay. And for some people, I realized credit score is really not that important. Why? Because depending on what is it that you are doing, people are looking on the asset, right? People are looking on the business, and a lot of banks are giving you loans for your business based on how it will perform. A lot of lenders are giving you loans based on the asset, right? If maybe you're trying to get like a line of credit or something like that, they might, like a personal line of credit for your business or whatever it is, or personal, then they might look on your credit score. Honestly, it depends. But as you go through the motions, right? Upon you growing as an entrepreneur, whatever aspect, whatever industry that you're in, and when your goals and your needs change, you will figure out at that point, do I need to have my credit score at a certain level or not? And this one thing I want to share is that as you navigate this thing called entrepreneurship, you are always learning. Like always, always, always learning. And the more you learn is the more you do. The more you do is the more you grow. The more you grow, it's the bigger your vision becomes, the bigger you're clearer your vision also becomes, more opportunities open up that you never would have imagined. And because you get clearer on those vision, those new opportunities, now you have more questions. So guess what? You go back and you do more research. So it's like a full blown cycle that is always with you learning, with you researching. Okay. Clear so far, you guys? I know this is like a lot, but listen, if you guys are, I'm going to be doing these and I like interaction. All right. You guys, I got to feel you guys out. You got to talk to me. Okay. So yeah, that's one thing with how I handle the whole credit thing as well. The next thing that I also want to share as separate and apart from credit. Now, I want to talk about commingling. Oh lordy. So when I started buying different properties, right? Again, I just did not know better. As an entrepreneur, I was commingling funds. And here's what commingling funds mean for those who don't know. That's when if you have a property over here and you have a property over there, you have money for this property here, money for this property there, but you started dabbling here, taking money from here, putting over here, taking money from over here, putting your personal. So I was commingling funds, mixing with my personal stuff, right? Mixing my business expenses, my business income with my personal income, my personal expenses. Guess when I suffered? When it was tax time, right? And here's exactly what happened. Because I was commingling funds, I thought it was okay. Again, I did not know better. I thought it's okay. I don't need a business bank account. Everything can come from my personal account, right? And I can funnel it for this business. I can funnel it for my personal. And when it was tax time, I was not the CPA, right? Could not figure out which expense belonged to which property, which income belonged to what property, which expenses were my personal stuff. Because sometimes when you pull the bank statement, it doesn't clearly state, sometimes it's also a weird name. So you forget what that was for. You don't know if it was for a house. You don't know if it was for you. So I commingled, and because it was so hard for me to figure out which expenses or income belong to what property along my personal stuff, I paid like a good amount of money in taxes, right? Like a really good amount of money in taxes because I was flipping like 2 properties that first year. And that there's something called capital gains tax. Now, I always hear about it in the books, reading the books and podcasts, but in going through it, I was like, oh, that is capital gains tax. Capital gains tax is whatever profit, if you own an asset in less than 12 months, whatever profit you make, you have to pay taxes on that, which can be anywhere from 20 to 30%. And if you don't separate your business finances, it's going to be hard for you to know, how can I reduce my taxes? Here's another example, because I know taxes can be a little bit technical. I've learned the game where people talk about, oh, I don't want to pay this in taxes. There are certain things that you can write off. And let me just say this, I'm not giving you guys legal advice, no, nothing like that. I'm just sharing you what I went through. Let's say I have a property in 123 Main Street and I have a bunch of expenses that I could write off on 123 Main Street. And then I have stuff from my other business, right? When I commingle, let's say the expenses for 123 Main Street was 4,000 and another property expenses was 10,000. But because I commingled, I could only write off the 4,000 and not the 10,000 in expenses. Does that make sense? I want to know if that makes sense. Because in order for you to write things off, you have to have proper accounting, proper bookkeeping. You hear people talk about P&L and balance sheet. You need that as a business. Whether you are just starting out and you have one customer and one sale, you need that. Now you might be like, okay, Kalisha, yes, I'm an entrepreneur, but I'm not big yet. So what? That was the same thinking I had, and that's how I got that lesson. Thinking, I don't need a bookkeeper, I don't need an accountant, I can do the books myself. I got Excel sheet, I learned that the hard way. So when you think about building your business, you don't need to be making 10,000. Even if you're making 5,000, even if you have one customer, you can use simple tools to keep track of your income and your expenses. If you do 5 sales in the year of 2025 and you're like, you know what, this is something that I want to keep doing, let me make sure I have a business entity. Let me make sure I have a business account. So what if you are the main owner? At least you're separating your spending. It is so simple to create a business account. If you register your entity, which you can go, if you're in the States, you go on your particular state, Secretary of State, and just research what is the process to set up an entity. And you get your entity registered. So now everything you are operating as a business, you take that entity document and you go and create a business account. Even if you take $500 from your personal bank account and you put it in that business account, that is your startup capital, and use it to float. Because either way, you'll be using money from your personal account to fund the business, but at least you can separate it because now you're operating as a business. And every income, every spending, it comes from your business account. So when it's time to get a P&L, you can pull everything from that business account and you know that nothing in there is related to personal. I know this can be a lot, which one book I would recommend before I continue is the oh my God, what's the name of the book? Tax Strategies for Savvy Real Estate Investors. You would think tax and accounting will be extremely boring. That book was one of the most fun book I've ever read. Well, I didn't read it. I listened to it on Audible. I think it's by Amanda Han. So it's like a blue cover book. So it's Tax Strategies for the Savvy Real Estate Investor. When I listened to that book, I was like, oh my God. They broke down how to think about taxes for your business, how to think about things that you can write off legally. Like everything is just a game. You just have to understand the tax code. But in order for you to understand the tax code and how other people are doing it, you have to educate yourself to doing it to doing research. So the more you research, now you will have questions for a CPA or a bookkeeper. So if you're also starting out, so I just covered a whole bunch of stuff. So I'm going to go back a little bit. From commingling and taxes, let's start from the beginning. You need a business entity. Even if you are the main owner, you need to have a business entity. Get your entity, an LLC set up. It could be a partnership. Maybe you have your husband, your partner, your friend, whoever it is, and you want to do a partnership. If it's just you can do a sole proprietorship. You need an entity. Go on your Secretary of State site and just put in there and starting a business or entity setup. And you can find out what is their process, their application process to set up that entity. That's the first thing, right? The next thing, take that entity and go open a bank account. Your local bank, you can go there. There's Bank of America, Truist, there's Chase, there's so many local banks. Go open a business bank account. I use Chase. I also use Relay Financial, which you guys will see the link below after this video. Whenever you guys sign up and create your business account, you get $50. So I'm getting commission from it. So you don't have to do it. I'm just telling you. But with Relay, you will get $50. But what I like with Relay is that I can set up my account online. They don't have a local branch or nothing like that, but I can get my account online. And a lot of time with these banks, the traditional bank, you need to have a minimum amount or they will charge you a monthly fee. With Relay, you can have up to 20 accounts under one company, and you don't have to have a minimum amount. They don't charge you a monthly fee. So what I do, I have the traditional bank, right, as my main bank. And then for all my other sub accounts that I need for different properties or whatever it is that I'm doing, I have those sub accounts on Relay. So think about it. If I have my personal account, I have my business account, if I'm saving for taxes, if I'm doing a side hustle, I don't want to commingle. Remember, I don't want to commingle, but I also don't want to have 4, 5, 7 different accounts on one big bank. So now I'm like, oh gosh, I got to have a minimum account balance in every single bank. Just sitting there to avoid a monthly fee. Instead, I have my main account with the traditional bank, the bigger banks, and then I go Relay where I have multiple accounts. So, okay, I'm saving for taxes. I'm also saving a little bit aside for emergency funds. Excuse me. And I don't have to have a minimum account amount in each account. Right? Then when it comes on to you spending, let's say you're offering a service, right? Give an invoice. Right? I use that. When I used doing my Fiverr gigs, I had an invoice system. Now you're like, oh, Kalisha, where do I get an invoice? This is too much. Guys, Google free invoicing software. I use Waze, that's Waze, for a long time, free. When I had that business bank account, I connected my business bank account to Wave, and it will just auto-populate things, like categorize them for me. As long as they see a deposit, they put it under. As long as they say like a deposit, it goes on their income. Whenever there's a withdrawal, it goes on their expenses. So it was easy for me to generate a profit and loss on a balance sheet, and I didn't have to do that in Excel. Now I think started last year, Waze started charging like $9 a month. But I'm sure there are other like free accounting softwares, especially if you're starting out and you're on a budget. I'm sure there are free accounting softwares that you can use, but I would recommend Wave, and I would recommend QuickBooks Online or QuickBooks Self-Employed. I don't know what stage you are at. This is perfect for beginners, right? So you can use that. And I think QuickBooks charges like $9 a month or $13 a month for those starter stuff. Again, you might be thinking, Kalisha, this is too much. I'm not here yet. But one thing that I understand, I accept now, don't wait until you're up here to start fixing these things. Start from down here. Lay that foundation. You got to start building that habit of, okay, I'm running a business. Even if it's as a side hustle, it doesn't matter. You got to lay the foundation with start having the right business practices. I have a business bank account. I have a business name. I send you an invoice for my services. And a lot of these accounting platforms, you can use their invoicing system for your clients. Is this helpful so far? I was going to say like you guys should raise your hand, but I just realized that I'm on live and I can't see you guys raising your hand. I'm used to being on Zoom where people raise their hands. And I know some people on here, you might be like way ahead of the game. You know, you might be way ahead of the game, but these are some things that I wish I knew when I started. And a lot of these things I figured out because I went on Google, I listened to podcasts, and I read books. All right, Maria actually had a question before too. I think, let me go back up. Oh man, he had a question and I think it disappeared. Oh, he asked, how did you build your team and knew you needed a team? Oh, I love that question. Oh my God. If Aaron is still on here, Aaron is a part of my team. He can definitely attest to that. Oh, I've grown a long way. How did I build my team? All right. So, man, I thought the beginning, this was again my mindset at the beginning, that having a team is someone that you have on payroll. It's a salary. That so if I wasn't paying you a salary, Aaron's like, what happened? Aaron, I have grown from delegating and building a team. Our team have grown so much. Aaron is also a part of my team. But I used to think that if I don't have you on salary, you're not a part of my team. Until going back, I was listening to a podcast and someone was talking about the team. And they said, your team is your people that you can rely on. It could be your CPA, it could be your bookkeeper, it could be your attorney, it could be a coach, it could be a mentor. It's anybody who you can rely on for advice, and they have an expertise in something that help you to grow, to become better. That is your team, right? Now, I think this was in a mastermind. So I get past the whole mastermind was a scam. Okay. I did get past that because I realized I needed to cut the learning curve, and I was sick and tired of trying to figure everything else out on my own. And I was like, you know what? I am going to invest in myself and education and take a risk and invest in a mastermind so I can be around people who is doing what I wanted to do. I couldn't escape it. Everything I was finding online, I wanted to be around people. So I invested in a mastermind. And in being in that mastermind, we're talking about teams and building a team and hiring and all those things. And someone mentioned that for you to know when you're ready to build a team, you make a list of all the things that you are doing that you don't like, right? Make a list of all the things that you're doing that you don't like, and what is super time consuming, and what are the things that make you money. So when you are an entrepreneur wearing all the hats, and I know I'm going off on a tangent, so I hope this helped, Mario, is that you wear all the hats, but in you wearing all the hats, there are going to be tasks that are admin tasks that you're always doing that takes up a lot of your time. And there are also going to be tasks that are money-making tasks that makes you money. You want to focus on the money-making tasks and the strategy tasks, and then hire out your admin tasks. So that's how I figured out my first hire was I needed someone to help me with admin stuff. Now, the roadblock then that I encountered with, okay, now I need to hire someone. Oops. I can't afford to pay someone on salary. I'm not there yet. But I started having conversation with persons who are doing what I'm doing, right? And I said, hey, like, I'm thinking of hiring somebody, but I can't afford to pay them a huge salary, or what would I pay them a salary? And they're like, Kalisha, go get a virtual assistant. I was like, what? I thought virtual assistant was only for calling leads, real estate leads. They're like, no, get a virtual assistant. Go on this website, which you can go on Fiverr, you can go on Upwork. I went on like Hub Talent, Hub Work. They're like, go and get a virtual assistant. They start at $5 an hour. I was like, oh, that's a huge commitment. Cause I'm like, again, this is how my brain works. Damn, $5 an hour. I got to hire them full time for 40 hours for the week. They got to work. How am I structuring that? They're like, Kalisha, no, maybe you need them for 3 hours a day or 3 times a week. Whatever you want them off, or maybe you can start them at that. And I was like, oh my God, that makes so much sense. And I work out what is like $5 an hour for 3 hours if I take them for 3 days. And I was like, oh, this is X amount. Oh, I can do that. Right. And I started from there. Right. And from there, and I teach them about a few admin tasks. And then in me growing, I figure out more things that I need to do. Then that's how I extended their working hours and the days that they're working as well. So that's how I figured out how to start hiring, and how I knew that I needed a team. The next thing was in my business I do lending, right? So lending means I have an investment firm, and we issue out short-term loans to real estate investors. Now that entails so many different parts. You have to underwrite the deal, you have to raise the capital, you have to create the pitch deck. So again, I made a list of every single thing about my process, the money-making thing, and I figured out what can I offload. One of those things was underwriting. I knew how to do underwriting. I didn't like it, but it also took up a lot of my time. So I'm like, okay, the next thing I need to hire will be underwriting. And I still use this method to this day. Whenever I feel like, okay, I'm doing a lot of stuff or something is taking up a lot of my time, I make a list based on the stage that I'm at in my business. What are the time consuming things and what are the money making things? And nothing beats Mario like really, really asking questions. Because sometimes we get in our heads like, okay, we can't do this, or you don't have a full plan how to do it. But sometimes just talking it out or just asking somebody, you get so much clarity. And you're like, oh, that's it. That was me with hiring. Now it's so easy for me to hire a virtual assistant. I hired them for everything. Right. Um, Francisco says, I have been meaning to reach out and connect with you. We are both in EIM. Oh my God, you're in EIMG. That is insane. That means I should be seeing you at the meetup tomorrow and you can help with technical needs, help automate anything. Honey, Aaron, I think we found our person. Francisco, I've been trying to find someone to help me with automation. And that's been tough. Okay. So we definitely need to connect. But I'm glad even Francisco brought that up, because I think as an entrepreneur as well, you're learning so much about yourself. As you grow, you find out what you're good at, things that you thought you were good at, you realize, oh, I suck at this, right? And I've learned that sometimes good leaders are also not good managers. And I figure out that, Kalisha, you will have to keep improving on yourself, your skills. And you also need to learn how to become a better leader. You got to learn how to delegate. I'm not good with delegation. But in order for me to step away from being a solo entrepreneur, right? Or solo entrepreneur, whatever they call it, I need to learn to let go of control. And you're going to get that as well. Especially if you're providing a service and you think, oh my God, no one else can do it like me. That will prevent you from growing. Trust me. That was my mindset at the beginning, because I'm like, okay, this is my way to make money. I can't afford to hire anyone right now. So I got to do everything myself. And that mindset, because we want to hold on to all the money ourselves, we're like, if I hire, I'm going to have to pay someone. So that's going to cut into the money that I'm making. But that means you will never grow. You will never grow if you think that way. So you got to always keep pouring into yourself and your personal development as a business owner. Remember, I tell you, I read E-Myth Revisited 3 times. I read it again 2 months ago. 2 months ago, I'm rereading that book. I reread that book. And it's like every time I read that book, it's something else just gets clear from reading that book. Yes, Erin, scarcity mindset with that money. And I think that came from being, when I was younger, like when I would ask my parents, my mom for something, and she always say like, money not grow on no tree. So it's like I just always think money was, and I did not grow up in a good condition, right? When money was an issue in my household, and you would ask for something, money not grow on no tree, right? So I just thought that, okay, money was limited. And when you get it, you got to hold on to it, because if you hold on to it, you don't know when it's coming back. So guess what? I had to now start reading books about money and the psychology of money and how to change my mindset about money, because then I became aware that I had that mindset and I had to fix it in order for me to grow. I really had to fix that. And that's the thing what I'm saying, like we are always figuring out new things about ourselves. But you got to become aware that, hey, this is the issue that I'm facing. I need a change. I want to become better. How can I become better? Let me go read a book. Let me go listen to podcasts. Let me go practice what I just listened to or what I just read. Let me go implement that. Like, I know I'm not good with delegation. So one of my big things for the last 1 to 2 years was to learn how to delegate. That was it. Learn how to delegate. And if you're trying to figure out things on your own, honey, ChatGPT is your best friend. If I had that 5 years ago, honey, that would be a life changer. Now ChatGPT is my best friend. If I'm trying to figure out what to hire, how to do job description, what I should hire next based on all the chaos that is in my head, because as an entrepreneur too, you have so much things happening in your mind, your brain, that I dump it all in ChatGPT. Hey, these are all the things that I'm struggling with. These type of tasks. How do I know which tasks I need to outsource right now? Right? But the whole scarcity mindset, that's what worked. That's what I had then. Now I'm way better. Right? Building departments are key. Every rockstar team consists of a visionary, an executor, and an integrator. You are 100% right. And as you're starting out, you are a visionary, you are the executor, and you're an integrator, right? And as you grow into your business, whatever that is, you will figure out, am I more of a visionary? Am I the one with the big ideas? I don't like details. Am I the executor? Am I the one, like, if you tell me what to do, I know the plan, how to get it done? Am I the integrator, meaning the one with knows how to build out the entire system, the processes? Because you might think that you're the visionary, but as you grow and develop in your role, you realize that you're an executor. You can execute things, but you don't have the big vision and the ideas, and that's okay. That's completely okay. Aaron said, if you were to start over, what would you have done differently? You know, they would give the cliche thing. I wouldn't do anything. I would keep it as is. I would open my mouth and tell people what is it that I am looking to do for my career. I was so afraid of the judgment and what people would think that I would actually meet really good people as well. And I would just sit there and soak up all their information. And I would just lie to myself when they ask, what do you want to do? And I would use that opportunity to ask, like, just be okay, feel comfortable asking them certain questions when they're talking to me about real estate, asking them, how did you make your money? Like, I think having a money conversation was very scary. It was very intimidating to me. Now that's all I talk about. Like, so I wish I was like, I could go back and have those money conversations with people, because I felt like I didn't know much, but simply all I had to do was ask questions. All I had to do was tell people, hey, this is what I'm looking to do. I don't have it figured out, but I would love to own real estate. That's what I would have done differently. And of course, I would not commingle funds. I would definitely not co-mingle funds. You cannot get me to do that to this day. I was talking to persons within my mastermind group, because I run a mastermind group for persons who are looking to raise private capital, whether for their business or real estate, just to show them the process and stuff like that. And we were talking about co-mingling funds. I was like, guys, I don't do that, because I've learned my lesson with co-mingling funds. So I have bank accounts for everything. Do I have multiple business debit cards for each bank account? No, because I don't need it. But I have bank accounts for everything. How do you know the right question to ask? You talking about like the persons who I met during real estate? I'm assuming that's the thing. If it's that, there's no right question. Just ask it. If you screw up, you screw up. But just ask it. Like, whatever you're curious about. Like, you're here and you just asked me a question, because there was a reason why you had the conversation. Well, you joined this live. There's something that you're curious about. Just ask it. If people take offense to it, that's okay. I'm sorry. You just apologize. If people don't want to share, that's okay. You ask them the same thing you did to me. If you were to start over, what would you have done differently? What advice would you give for someone who wants to be where you are? What's the first step you would tell your younger self to take, or a newbie to take? Like, the first step I would tell you to take if you're starting your business is go down the rabbit hole of go to YouTube University. Commit. 90 days, whatever time, 2 months, whatever it is, commit to educating yourself on that thing. Don't be like, I'm excited today, I'm going to do this, and I want to do everything overnight. That's not going to happen. Because sometimes we get excited, we get that momentum, we want to do everything overnight. Like after this call, you might be pumped up and you want to go do this and you want to go do that. And then tomorrow you're like, it's another thing. No. You got to commit to educating yourself and sticking to it. Like if there's something that you want to do long term. And I'm still learning so much on this journey of entrepreneurship and being an immigrant. There's still roadblocks, that like obstacles that pops up, and I have to overcome that. For me, like I do not see black and I don't see color when I go into a room. Some people do, but I don't. I don't care about that until you bring it to my attention. I used to hate telling people I was Jamaican because I've got some very hurtful comments. I got some really hurtful comments. And at one point, I just stopped telling people, where they couldn't even figure out my accent. I hid my accent so well until after I was talking to a coach. I was in a mastermind, and I was talking to the mentor at the time, and he was like, "Hey, like your background, you being Jamaican, that's what makes you you. That's what makes people want to invest with you or partner with you, whatever that is. That's what makes you stand out. Everyone is doing real estate, but we all have that one thing that's going to make us very unique in business and makes people want to invest with you, partner with you, believe in your dreams because of you." Any questions? Because I know we're coming to an end. I hope this was super helpful. I'm just going back through my notes to see if I missed out anything. One last thing I would share is that just find your community of people, whatever it is that you want to do. Find your community. So if that's real estate, find your local groups, build connections, build friendships through there, build relationship through there. Find your community of people that whatever it is that you're struggling with, you can have someone to reach out to. Because yes, YouTube University is great. The books are great, but sometimes you want real and honest answers. So find your people. If you have to invest to get access, you realize I said invest. It's an investment into mastermind groups, whatever that is. Invest to get access and find your community of people. I'm grateful for my community of people, for people who are at different level. Not everyone in my community is in real estate. Some people just have their business, and it's always good to get business advice from persons who are at the same level or even way higher than where you're at. So just find your community of people, just commit to doing it. Don't be afraid to ask questions. You have local community. You can do online, which is the mastermind, as I mentioned, but just don't be afraid. And when in you doing research and building your knowledge and reading books and podcasts, you will get analysis paralysis. And analysis paralysis is when you know so much information, but you're just stuck and afraid to take action. Right? So I think that's what happened to me. I was in analysis paralysis where I just thought I was not ready. I did not know enough, and I need to read more. I need to listen to more podcasts. I need to read more books. I need to do more research. I need to do more. And that I was in analysis paralysis until one day I'm like, enough is enough. I got to go do it. I got to go take action. That's the only way for me to learn. That is the only way for me to understand the process of buying my first investment property. Because the books can tell you everything. You can get a guide, but you just have to go do it. You just got to put one foot in front of the other and be like, you know what, I'm just going to do it. And that's what I did. And when I took my first step, guess what? The process did not go according to what the book and the podcast said. In doing it, that is how I created my own steps. And I make a note of it. So when I go buy the next property, I know what questions to ask. And that's how you learn. And when I hit roadblocks there, I started asking more questions. Mario said, since I left Jamaica, the only thing I know is cooking 9. Okay. And it's something I love, but it starts reading about real estate. There's so many routes. And how did you find your niche? Oh my God, we have similar thing. So before I figured out how, when I was trying to figure out what I'm going to do in my life, it was honestly, I was like, I like watching HGTV, but I don't like cooking. I love eating the food. And I love watching Food Network. I don't like cooking, but I like eating the food. And I love watching HGTV. That's honestly how I actually decided to go into real estate. That's a story for another day. But that's what I did. When I figured that out, one, I went to, let me put your question back up on the screen. There are so many avenues to real estate. It's mind blowing. And I'm still learning all the different avenues. But I read different books, as I mentioned, podcasts, and that way I figured out and understood all the different strategies. And the more you do your research, you will see which strategy in real estate resonates with you more. Then you will try that strategy. And then after a while, you may not like it. You may want to try a different strategy. It could be flipping. It could be buying rentals. It could be investing passively. We're just partner with someone with the capital. There's so many revenues. So I started out flipping first. And I did not want to flip at all. I wanted to do the BRRRR method, which BRRRR stands for buy, rehab, rent, refinance, repeat. So that's when you buy the property, you would renovate it, right? You will put a tenant in there and you will turn it into a long-term rental, like a 30-year mortgage. So you get a short-term loan at the beginning for 6 months. So you can buy the property and renovate it. You put a tenant and convert that short-term loan into a 30-year mortgage. So that's when you refinance and you repeat the process. That's what I wanted to do, because I was told in order to build wealth, you need to buy assets, right? And own rentals. So that's what I did. And in doing that entire process, find out that, again, because of my status at the time, I could not do a refi, even after the bank told me, hey, you have a good credit score, you look good on paper, yada, 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 go buy the house, we'll refinance. And when it was time to refinance, the bank was like, we can't do it again. So we had to pivot and sell the house, right? It's a good thing that the numbers were good, so we're able to sell the house. Now, I was in the middle of my second purchase. That again should have been a BRRRR. It should have been a renovated and keep it as a long-term rental. I had to sell that. I did not go in with the intention of flipping. So you can start by flipping, like you buy the house, you renovate it, you sell it, you make money there. Or you can buy a house to keep it as a rental. That's one way to start. From there, from me flipping, then I was like, okay, me doing this, I need to make more money. I just need to make more money, but it needed to be monthly, consistent. Then I heard about Airbnbs, and Airbnb was this grand thing at the time. I think it still is, just depends on the market. Airbnb was this grand thing where you could earn a lot of money each month from cash flow. I was like, this is amazing. So I bought an Airbnb that was doing great. From that, I think figured out, okay, in order for me to buy another house, because now the financing is completely different. In order for me to buy another house, I need more money. So that's how I figured out, okay, how can I get more money? I need OPM. So if you ever heard about OPM, that's other people's money or private investors. I need private investors for this project. So I'm like, how can I find private investors? Went to friends and family. We did that. And I was like, okay, in order for me to find more people with money, I need to first educate myself on how this private money lending process works. So as you grow, these things just started popping up in your head. You start asking certain questions. And from there, because I wanted to understand the process, I invested in Mastermind so I could understand the process and be around people who are raising private money. From there, I was like, okay, I'm getting good at finding private investors, getting people to give me their money to invest. From there, I started another company where I just started introducing people within my network to people who have money, and the rest is, that's where it landed me today. So I transitioned from fix and flip. Did I know I would be in finance and private lending and giving out loans? No, because I'm not a finance person. I did not go to school of finance, but it came from doing the thing, taking action. You hit a roadblock, you try to find a solution, and then more ideas and things and opportunities and doors starts opening up. So I hope that helps, Mario. Sean said, do you raise private money for commercial real estate? I do not, unfortunately, because that's a whole different ball game with SEC. So I don't do those at all. So sorry about that. But depending on the size of your project, I might be able to connect you with a few persons who lend, who has funds that lend for commercial real estate that I can connect you with as well. So happy to share that. Any other questions before I go? I would say I appreciate you guys. You don't have to jump off yet because I have one more thing for showing up. So I would really love if you haven't already, like, subscribe. I can't believe I'm saying that. Subscribe to my YouTube. I'll be doing more of these educational series thing. Let me know your thoughts on this video and what you guys would like me to talk about. There's so many different things I love to talk about, but let me know what you would like, specifics and all that stuff, like, or general questions. I can build on that because my goal is really now to keep providing value to people who are in a space where the information is just so much. I appreciate you guys for showing up. And just one more, open it if you guys have one more questions before I go. Let me know. Drop those in the comments. If you haven't already subscribed to the channel, that would be fantastico, and I would appreciate that greatly. I don't know how often I'll be doing these, but I will try my best to do one at least once a week. I actually do like sessions because I have a private community in school where I just teach people how to raise private money and give tips and stuff for real estate. So I do a lot of those too. And there's like tons of content here that talks about it as well. Oh, you have more question. Thank you so much, Francisco, for joining in. I appreciate it. How can I provide value to you, man? Go watch my videos on how to start a business and all those other resources that I have. And when you do, ask questions. That would be more of a value to you. And also a value to me because you're watching my stuff. So I hope that helps. And doing case studies on this. Oh my God, Francisco, I wanted to do that so bad. I have all the case studies ready to go. And I've been trying to figure out how the perfect way, because I'm a perfectionist. How can I do a series? I want to do a series of all the case studies for deals that I've done. So yes, I think I'm going to do that because I have them, how I structure deals, lessons learned, and all that stuff. So that's actually fantastic. That's a great idea. I think I'll do that the next time. I'm definitely going to do that. Thank you, Edgar, for tuning in. I appreciate you guys so much. I wish you guys all the best with on your entrepreneurship journey, whether that's real estate, whether that's business, whatever it is. And I hope that the information that I shared with you guys tonight has been super helpful, and you can take that within your business, be a better entrepreneur as well. Until next time, I'll see you guys.